So you've seen elevators and you've seen explosions, but have you seen elevators that explode every time you use them? Well, the answer to that question might actually be yes, because I did a video on this a few months ago, which was an elevator that made use of TNT. But today, since with 1.16 netherite blocks were introduced, I'm actually going to be trying to revisit this idea and improve upon the design. So what's so special about netherite blocks? Well, as you can see, it's blast resistant, much like obsidian or bedrock, but it also can be moved. So this allows us to create a much nicer sort of contraption where we can move the walls away in order to blow up the elevator. And can I just say, the sound of placing the netherite blocks is actually really satisfying. Listen to this. So let's say this is our elevator shaft. We're going to try and keep it one by one for now, and the idea is that we'll have a cobblestone generator that pushes cobblestone blocks underneath the player and transports them up to the top. At the top we'll have a platform here, which again can be made of netherite. So this is going to be very expensive, of course, because we use the netherite, but I just want to see what can be done with this concept. The idea is that we have an elevator shaft that looks like this, and then the cobblestone will be blown up, and then it will be redispensed using a cobblestone generator that pushes the player up, like so. So we're going to have pistons behind here that can retract specific netherite blocks, and then we can dispense some TNT into that gap, ignite the TNT, and then that will actually blow up the cobblestone. So I think the first thing we need to do is actually build up the system as it were to be used. So I guess it would be like this. And then we need to figure out the optimum height for all of the TNT. So if we put a TNT here, is it going to blow up all of the TNT down to this bottom level? And the answer is no. So in this case, we actually need to put the TNT one block lower and test this out. So let's put the cobblestone back and give it another test. And that seemed to have worked fairly well, but I'm going to obviously test this multiple more times, and I'm going to actually test this with stone as well. So I've decided upon these 3 slots for the TNT, so let's see if it works. And it worked fairly well, although we didn't get the top one, which is understandable. I've decided to reduce the height of the elevator by 1, just so that we can use 3 pieces of TNT and destroy all of the blocks in the elevator, like so. And all of the blocks are destroyed. And then obviously we'd push back in some blocks using pistons, some netherite blocks, and that would be the elevator shaft, which you could then walk into and travel up. So the next stage is to figure out how we're going to actually dispense the TNT into those slots, which are these slots, I believe. Because if we use a dispenser like so, we're actually going to blow up the dispenser when the TNT ignites, which isn't ideal. So we're going to have to figure out another way to do this. I believe something like this will work. The TNT will be dispensed here, like so, and then it will be pushed, it will be ignited, and then it will be pushed across by these pistons into this slot here. And then what will happen is, of course, it will blow up. And then all we need to do is retract these blocks here and extend these pistons here to cover up the back shaft, and then that's done. And then when we want to next blow it up, we simply retract these pistons, we ignite the dispensers, and then we push these pistons across. And then we can simply shield this with some more netherite blocks, or even some obsidian, since these blocks don't need to be moved. So actually, I'm going to grab some, because obviously we don't want to use netherite blocks everywhere, because they are super expensive. I've come up with a system that I feel may work, so we're going to give it a test. So this is what it does. It retracts this block, obviously it powers this dispenser, and it extends this block, and then it just does the reverse. So we're going to put a piece of TNT in this dispenser and see what happens. And I don't know if that got pushed far enough forward. It did blow up some of the redstone. And I've rebuilt the redstone with a slightly different idea in mind. So let's give this a test. I've simply got some actual redstone here now. And that did not work at all. Well, at least the blast was shielded. Time for another test with some more modified redstone, and I think this is looking promising. It still blew up the redstone, but if we don't use glass here and we use obsidian, we may actually get it to be working. So let's give this a test. Oh, it did blow up the dispenser still though, which is worrying. Even if that are blocks shielding the dispenser, it seems like it's going to blow up no matter what. With the dispenser now moved 2 blocks away, let's give this another test. So like this, the block ends up here, it explodes, and our dispenser is perfectly fine. So that will get us around it. It just means we're going to have to do a little bit more complicated redstone in order to retract all the blocks. I'd also quite like to test this configuration, because this will be a lot easier to wire, and I feel like this may actually work. And it looks like it did. I believe I may have come up with a configuration that works, so it's time to test it, and I haven't. The answer is I haven't. Oh. This isn't what I wanted in an ideal world. This isn't looking super compact, but I want to see if it works. And it looks like it's going to work. Bam, and then we can simply deactivate this redstone and it all hides away and resets. The moment of truth. This is the time we're going to see if it all blows up. So I've hooked all of the lines up together, and we should see we get 3 TNT appearing here. They explode, and they actually exploded some of the redstone. Wow. I wonder if just adding a couple more obsidian blocks in here will stop the TNT exploding our redstone. In fact, I'm just going to go ham and put them everywhere. It's time to test it with all 3 modules hooked up again. So let's activate it, and this time, hopefully, it doesn't explode. And I don't think it did, so I think adding that extra shielding actually helped a fair bit. So let's put in a bunch of these, and then we can activate this redstone once and twice. And we should see all of this stone gets blown up. And indeed it does. And then we can simply activate this redstone and hide it all away again. So next we need to figure out the correct pulse length in order to activate this at the right times. So if I press this button, we should be able to see when this switches off. And this actually switches off before the TNT explodes, so we need it to be longer than this. So that's why we do this testing, because otherwise we'd explode our whole contraption. And with a longer pulse extender, do we get the same effect? We're going to watch to see which happens first, the explosion or the redstone and the explosion. So I think this is actually the correct length pulse extender. So now all we need to do is actually hook it up. So now I've added in the pulse extender and we're about to test the system for the first time. So let's give it a go. Hopefully this works. I'm actually quite nervous. That looked like it worked fairly seamlessly. Wow, let's add in all of the stone and give this another test. And we should see that this explodes and then we just get like a... Wow, that looks amazing. I'm actually proud of this. The next thing we should probably test is the blast range of our chamber. So if we add a bunch of extra stone around the outside, we want to see how much of it gets blown up. Because ideally, we want to be able to preserve all of this stone so we can build whatever we want in this area, but I don't know how much of it's going to be destroyed. So let's give the system a test and see what happens. I'm impressed. Nothing outside of the range of the chamber actually blew up, so does that mean that actually this whole floor can just be regular blocks? This even means we can use fancy looking designs like this over here with the glass and the button on the side, which I've simply hooked up to the pulse extender. So if we press this button here, you can see we're here the TNT ignite, and it will actually explode and it won't affect any of the surrounding shaft. So then the player can walk in and they'll be transported up to the top as they please. I've stripped the machine down to its bare bones so we can work on it some more, and I've also extended it slightly because I realised there was actually room for another layer of TNT. So obviously you don't have to build it this high, but this is the maximum height that it can be built. And you may notice down at the bottom what I've added. So I've added in some Basalt Generators. So originally I was going to use cobblestone or stone, but I figured with the release of 1.16 we can actually generate Basalt now. And I've come up with this cool little system that generates Basalt. So as you can see, we can generate it twice as fast as we can normally because I've got 2 Basalt Generators, one on each side, and it alternates which one powers. So we just have to hook up a clock to this that pulses a certain amount of times, and this will go all the way to the top and then it won't go any further. Then what we can do is of course pulse our system through here and blow up all of the basalt like so. and then the player is ready to go up the elevator once again. Now I've upgraded the redstone significantly so that it's got some more advanced features. This down here is the clock, which pulses the basalt generator over and over again. We've got a hopper clock over here, which is a delay, so that it determines how many times this clock pulses. We've got a bunch of other redstone too. From the button, what we've got over here is a pulse length generator, and if you press the button multiple times, you actually won't get an output here until the system has finished processing. That way you can't press the button multiple times and blow up many TNT, which may break the system. I've also added a bunch of extra stuff like this falling edge detector over here, which just tells the system when to pulse all the different components. But I think now I'll show you in action because we've actually completed it, and I think it looks really cool. So as you can see, it's a nice tool system. It looks flush and sleek from the outside. You can press the button and it will all explode like so. Bam. And then what we see is we actually get the basalt generating up to the top. So I'll show you in a minute what it's like to ride on the elevator, but for now we're just going to view it from the outside. And it comes up to the top and then it's done. And we can actually activate it again. So this time we're actually going to ride the elevator. So each time we do this, it uses 4 TNT. So let's hop onto the elevator like so. And it's really cool. I'm so happy with this. So if you've enjoyed, remember to leave a like and comment down below. Mine has been Vortex Swap. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.